שלום וברכה מוריי ורבותיי, שלום וברכה, בעזרת השם בזכות הצדיק רבי חיים פינטו, בזכות הצדיקים, הקדוש ברוך הוא בעזרת השם הוא bless our holy קהילה וברכה והצלחה, בסייעתא דשמיא גדולה, מלכי דמו וחטא וזכייתה, בזכות כל הצדיקים, הקדוש ברוך הוא בעזרת השם will accept all our prayers ברצון, and make בעזרת השם all our קהילה come to a place of a personal redemption and a redemption for all כלל עם ישראל, אמן כן יהי רצון בעזרת השם. הנה רבותיי, ברוך השם, today is Tuesday, and as we know, the day of Tuesday represents Tiferet. Where Tiferet is essentially the Torah. The Zohar HaKadosh says that on the day of Tiferet, there is a strength and there is a big ability of bringing certain miracles and bringing certain things that are above the nature to a fruition. Where we say that Tiferet is the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that gets sent down to the world whenever HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs to change laws of nature and needs to interfere with his children. So now, we're thinking about something beautiful that we see in this week's Parasha. As we now in this week's Parasha, I read Parashat Behar. Bnei Yisrael are all gathered around Har Sinai, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks Moshe Rabbeinu, teach them a very important halacha. What is the halacha? The halacha of Shemitah. What is this halacha of Shemitah? The halacha of Shemitah is a law that it says in the Torah that in Eretz Yisrael, 6 years we can work the ground to plant seeds and fruits and crops, and on the 7th year, like Shabbat, where we don't do any melacha, we don't do any work, on the 7th year the ground must rest, and no planting, no cutting, no any work that has to do with crops and with the land at all. So now the question is, Bnei Yisrael all around Har Sinai, why is it that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, out of all the other mitzvot that he could have taught Bnei Israel before giving them the Torah, teach them the mitzvah of Shemitah? We see so many other mitzvot that we can learn, but specific this mitzvah HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose. So now maybe we can say something like this. As we know that there are certain numbers that represent different acts in the world. 7, Aramak says, Rabbi Moshe Pinto Shlita, represents what? Represents nature. Represents HaKadosh Baruch Hu's laws that he created on the 6 days, that these laws are unbreakable. And that's what we call the laws of nature. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when giving Bnei Yisrael Torah, knew that there is something that Bnei Yisrael need to correct. What do Bnei Yisrael need to correct? Bnei Yisrael need to correct the fact that the moment they receive the Torah, they will need to act above the nature. For the simple reason that the Torah, in its essence and on its own, is what? Above the nature. So you cannot have the Torah which is above the nature and still be bound to those laws of nature. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I have to break this habit, I have to break Bnei Israel's attachment to those laws of nature. How did we do so? We do so in a simple manner. We do so of bringing Bnei Israel to the point of changing the nature itself. We're taking 7, which represents nature, and breaking it by not doing any active. But not only by not doing any active, it even breaks the nature within ourselves. It's not in our instinct to just not work an entire year. It's not in our instinct to just let our crops and our fields rot for an entire year, rest for an entire year, and then return to it the next year. It is against all the logic. But as we know about logic is also a form of laws of nature. So in order to break those laws of nature, you have to break logic as well too. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, the only way we can do so is I have to break it. How do I break it? We teach them 6 years you work, on the 7th year, you don't work. As a result of that, not only that they will break the logic within themselves, which is the nature that bounds their machshava, their thought, but also we will break the 7th. And that, Rabotai, is also the concept of Shabbat. When we keep Shabbat properly, it's not just that we're keeping a mitzvah, that we're breaking the nature. The moment we break the nature, we become above the nature. And once we're above the nature, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu can act with us according to our deeds. We do good, He gives us shefa. If it makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, He will give us shefa. Nature is no rules. HaKadosh Baruch Hu can flip a person's mazal, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can pick him up, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can change anything whenever He wants, because, like we said, it is something that goes up. But there's a beautiful secret in this. The beautiful secret in this is that if we look in the continuation of the Parasha, we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if you will do so, if you will be able to keep this mitzvah of 7, I will let you sit on the land and control the land. So, Arizal says, what is this concept of control the land? Arizal says, the control of the land is not that you will own the land. It's that you will be master of the nature. Where everything will be b'chiskat nis. Where everything will be b'chiskat miracle. And Arizal brings a beautiful story with Rabbi Pinto Shlita. It says about Rabbi Pinto Shlita that every single thing that happened to him in his life became like a miracle, because it was HaKadosh Baruch Hu interfering with the laws that he put. Because the fact that Rabbi Hanina did something, him being so above the nature, it didn't matter what he did, it had to go his way. So it says in the Gemara that one time his daughter was crying Erev Shabbat. Why? Because he said, well, what is wrong? So she said, Abba, our olive oil and our oil ran out. And how are we going to light the candles? So Rabbi Hanina said, what other liquids do you have? So she said, we have vinegar. So Rabbi Hanina said, Beseder, light the vinegar. So the daughter said, but Rabbi Hanina, Abba, it's vinegar, it does not light. So Rabbi Hanina said, the same voice that said that the oil will become a flame can also say that the vinegar will become a flame. And the Gemara said that she lit the light and it burned the entire Shabbat, and there was even a more beautiful fire than it existed usually when they would light olive oil. Like that said, what do we learn from this? We learn from that, according to the sentence that Rabbi Pinto said, the same voice that made olive oil light will make vinegar light. That even when the olive oil lit in Rabbi Hanina's life, it was like a miracle, because he directed it. Like that says, when we break the nature, everything that happens within our life all comes b'chizkat miracle. It all comes like a bracha, like a shef from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to teach us in this week's Parasha. We want to have shefa, we want to have bracha, we want to be able to have the Torah living within our life. Two things need to happen. We need to break the nature within our world, like Shabbat, where it's not nature, is to not work an entire day, and to not do anything bad, or to not work our field in Eretz Israel, to break the nature, and second of all, to break the nature within ourselves, the logic and common sense that within ourselves. And once we come to a place of breaking those two natures, like what we see in the Parasha, only then we can receive the Torah, and only then we can be considered, and we can be led like sons to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Where a prince doesn't necessarily need to bow, is not bound to all the rules of the king. The prince usually gets more leeway, more freedom. We are the princes, we are the sons of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but we need to act like it. We have to be in the proper lines of the kingdomship, and if we are in the castle and we are in the path, then we can also break the rules. But the only way we break the rules is if we are in the path. So Habotai, that is HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the merit to not only break nature within our minds, we will have complete emunah that doesn't need to make sense for faith to exist. Faith and sense don't come together. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us such a strong faith that we will walk with emunah regardless if we're up or we're down, and Be'ezrat Hashem break all the laws of nature, that we will truly live like princes in this world, and Be'ezrat Hashem inherit a world to come which will be above all the blessings. Amen.